Hello to all my story lovers. Welcome back in Storytime channel. I'm Pallavi reading interesting stories for you. You know that in the first part we read 3000 stitches. Now in this part we will conclude the story. Now let's go to the story. So I started working with them to help their children secure the promised scholarships. Some of these children even started going to college within a year. Only after this happened did I bring up the subject of ads, and this time they heard me out. Months went by. It took me almost 3 years to establish a relationship with them. I was their darling Akka, and eventually they trusted me enough to share their heart touching stories and the trials they had endured. Innocent girls had been sold into the trade by their husbands, brothers, fathers, boyfriends, uncles, or other relatives. Some enter the sex trade on their own, hoping to earn some money for their families and help future generations escape poverty. Still others were lured into it with the promise of real job, only to find themselves tricked to work as sex workers. Hearing their stories, there were moments when I couldn't hide my tears. Yet they were the ones who held my hand and consoled me. Each story was different, but the end was the same. They all suffered at the hands of society that exploited them and filled them with guilt and shame as a final insult. I realize that simply donating money would not bolster their confidence or build their self esteem. The best solution I could think of was to unite them towards a common goal by helping them build their own organization. The state government of Karnataka had many good policies that encourage housing, marriage schemes, and scholarships. But if we started an association or a union exclusively for the Devdasis, they could address each other's problems. In time, they would become bold and independent, learning to organize themselves in the process. Thus, an organization for the Devdasis was formed. I believe that God cannot be present everywhere at once, and in return, He sends people to do His work. Abhay Kumar, a kind hearted and idealistic young man from Delhi, joined us unexpectedly. He wanted to work with me, and so I decided to give him the toughest job in order to test his passion for social work. I told Abhay, if you work with the Devdasis for 8 months and survive, I will think about absorbing you into the project full time. As promised, he did not show up for 8 months, and then one day he confidently strolled into my office, a little thinner but grinning from ear to ear. I said, Abhay, now you know how hard social work is. It takes extreme commitment and persistence to keep going. You can go back to Delhi with the satisfaction of having made a difference to so many lives. You are a good human being, and I'm sure that this little experience will stay with you and help you later. He smiled and replied in impeccable Kannada. Who said that I wanted to go back to Delhi? I have decided to stay in Karnataka and complete this project. Abhay, this is serious work. You are young And that's a great disadvantage in this line of work. And my voice faded away. I didn't know what else to say. Don't worry about that, ma'am. You gave me the best job I could possibly have. I thought that you might give me a desk job. I never imagined that you would give me field work. That too, the privilege of working with the Devdasis. This past year has made me realize their agony and unbearable hardships, knowing that how can I ever work anywhere apart from here? I was astonished at such sincerity and compassion in one so young. I offered him a stipend to help with his expenses, but he stopped me with a show of his hand. I don't need that much. I already have a scooter and a few sets of clothes. I just need 2 meals a day, a roof over my head, and a little money for petrol. That's it. I gazed at him fondly and knew that I was seeing a man who had found his purpose in life. He bid goodbye and left my office with determined strides. Obviously, Abhay became the project lead and I supported him wholeheartedly, taking care to converse with him regularly about the project's progress. One day, I made the Devdasis and inquired about the welfare of their children. Our greatest difficulty is supporting our children's education, they said. Most of the time, we can't afford their school fees, and then we have to go back to what we know to get quick money. We will take care of all your children's educational expenses, is irrespective of which class they are in. But that means that you must not continue being a Devdasi, no matter what. I replied firmly. The woman agreed without hesitation. They had come to trust Abhay and me and knew that we would keep our word. Hundreds of children were enrolled in the project. Some went on to the professional courses, while others went on to complete their primary, middle, or high school classes. We held camps on AIDS awareness and prevention and sponsored street art and plays to educate the women and children on various medical issues, including the simple fact that infected hair is not an indication that one must become a Devdasi. Rather, it is a simple curable disease that causes the hair to stick together and became matted over time. The women got themselves treated and some of them even had their heads shaved. Eventually, we were able to get them loans by becoming their guarantors. Often, the woman would tell me, Akka, please help us get a loan. If we can't repay it, then it is as good as cheating you, and you know that we will never do that. By this time, I knew in my heart that a rich man might cheat me, but our Devdasis never would. They had great faith in me and I in them. On the other hand, life became more dangerous for Abhay and me. We received death threats from pimps, local guns, and others through phone calls, letters, and messages. I was scared more for Abhay than myself. Though I asked for police protection, Abhay flatly refused and said, Our Devdasis will protect me. Don't worry about me. A few weeks later, some pimps threw acid on 3 Devdasis who had left their profession for good. But we all still refused to give up. The plastic surgery the victims underwent helped to bring back their confidence. they would not be intimidated. Our strength came from these women who were collectively trying to leave this hated profession. Though the government supplemented their income, many also started rearing goats, cows, and buffaloes. Over time, we established small schools that offered night classes which the Devdasis could attend. It was an uphill battle that took years of effort from everybody involved. After 12 years, some of the women met me to discuss a particular issue. Akka, we want to start a bank, but we are afraid to do it on our own. What do you think happens in the bank? I asked. Well, you need a lot of money to start a bank or even have an account. You must wear expensive clothes. We have seen that bankers usually wear suits and ties and sit in air conditioned offices. But we don't have money for such things, Akka. After they brought this problem to our attention, Abhay and I sat down with the women and explained the basics of banking to them. A few professionals were consulted, and under their guidance, they started a bank of their own. With the exception of few legal and administrative services that we provided. However, we insisted that the bank employees and shareholders should be restricted only to the Devdasi community. So finally, the women were able to save money through fixed deposits and obtain low interest loans. All profits had to be shared with the bank members. Eventually, the bank grew and women themselves became its directors and took over its running. Less than 3 years later, the bank had rupees 80 lakh in deposit and provided employment to the former Devdasis, but its most important achievement was that almost 3,000 women were out of the Devdasi system. On their third anniversary, I received a letter from the bank. We are very happy to share that 3 years have passed since the bank was started. Now, the bank is of sound financial health and none of us practice or make any money through the Devdasi tradition. We have each paid 100 rupees and have 3 lakhs saved for a big celebration. We have rented out hall and arranged lunch for everyone. Please come and join us for our big day. Akka, you are very dear to us and we want you to be our chief guest for the occasion. You have traveled hundreds of times at your own cost and spent endless money for our sake, even though we are strangers. This time, we want to book a round trip, air conditioned Volvo bus ticket, a good hotel, and all expenses paid trip for you. Our money has been earned legally, ethically, and morally. We are sure that you won't refuse our humble and earnest request. Tears well up in my eyes. 17 years ago, chappals were my reward, but now they wanted to pay for my travel to the best of their ability. I knew how much the comfort of an air conditioned Volvo bus and a hotel meant to them. I decided to attend the function at my expense. On the day of the function, I found that there were no politicians or garlands or long speeches as was typical. It was a simple event. At first, Some women sang a song of agony written by the Devdasis. Then another group came and described their experiences on their journey to independence. Their children, many of whom had become doctors, nurses, lawyers, clerks, government employees, teachers, railway employees, and bank officers, came and thanked their mothers and the organization for supporting their education. And then it was my turn to speak. I stood there, and my words suddenly failed me. My mind went blank, and then distantly I remembered my father's words. I will feel very proud knowing that I gave birth to a daughter who helped 10 helpless women make the most difficult transition from being sex workers to independent women. I am usually a spontaneous speaker, but on that day I was too choked with emotion. I didn't know where to begin. For the first time in my life, I felt that the day I meet God, I will be able to stand up straight and say confidently, "You have given me a lot in this lifetime, and I hope that I have written at least something. I have served 3,000 of your children in the best way I could, relieving them of the meaningless and cruel Devdasi system. Your children are your flowers, and I am returning them to you." Then my eyes fell on the woman. They were so eager to listen to me. They wanted to hear what I had to say. Abhay was there too, looking over him by everything they had done for us. I quoted a Sanskrit shloka my grandfather had taught me when I was 6 years old. "Oh God, I don't need a kingdom, nor do I desire to be an emperor. I don't want rebirth or the golden vessels or heaven. I don't need anything from you. Oh Lord, if you want to give me something, then give me a soft heart and hard hands, so that I can wipe the tears of others." Silently, I came back to my chair. I didn't know what the woman must be thinking or feeling at that moment. An old Devdasi climbed up onto the stage and stood there proudly. With a firm voice, she said, "We want to give our Akka a special gift. It is an embroidered bedspread, and each of us has stitched some portion of it. So there are 3,000 stitches. It may not look beautiful, but we all wanted to be present in this bedspread." Then she looked straight at me and continued, "This is from our hearts to yours. This will keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter, just like our affection towards you. You were by our side during our difficult times, and we want to be with you too. It is the best gift I ever received." This is the end of the 3,000 stitches. Do you like it? Then tell me in the comment box and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.